Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downing. We've got day one combine winners and losers coming up with the QBs, receivers, and tight ends all done in terms of the athletic testing. Before we break that down, though, we've got more videos coming for you guys. After the running backs and offensive line do their stuff tonight, I'm coming in on Saturday and doing a video for you as well. So we're going to break down everything going on around the combine this year. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe as we begin with some of the winners and losers from this year's NFL Combine. Let's start with the winners, because let's be positive. We'll go a couple different players, beginning with QB Malik Willis out of Liberty. Now, I want to make this point. I don't care about how good a quarterback looks throwing against air. I would care if they're terrible. That's the red flag. But you should be able to show off your cannon of an arm with vertical balls. Yes, Malik Willis made some awesome highlight throws. It's not nearly as important as all the other throws he made against defensive backs. But I'm putting him on this list, not even because he had the very awesome moment of helping out a homeless person in Indy that was captured and posted on social media, but he's drawn strong praise for his reported strong showings in meetings. That's a big deal. The Liberty offense was limiting. Was it because just the offense, or because they didn't trust Malik Willis? Based on the strong showings, that would indicate it was just the offensive design. He was my QB1 entering this week. That has not changed in any capacity. Let's go to tight end now. Jelani Woods out of Virginia. Not really a household name. This was somebody viewed as more of a, maybe sneaks into round 3, but far more likely ends up as a 4th or 5th round pick. Maybe that changes. Woods checked in. Shout out, by the way, at MathBomb on Twitter for the custom relative athletic scores. It factors in the size, the weight, how fast you run, and weights various things that are more important, i.e. the speed is a bit more important than, say, the bench for like a receiver position or tight end as well. Long arms, 34.5 inches, 6'7", 253, and ran a 4.61 40-yard dash. Woods was generally viewed as a top 10 tight end prospect. It was listed at 275 by Virginia, by the way. He, of course, cut weight, and it worked out. A 4.61 40. If you just want to draft the athlete at tight end, this is your guy in this year's class. The next tight end, Chig Okonkwo out of Maryland. Now, he tested speed-wise better than what Woods did. However, this is why I like the relative athletic score stuff. 4.52 is awesome. Remember, though, he's only 238. He's a little bit smaller than some of the other tight ends out there. But the vertical jump was really good, 35.5 inches on that front. A little bit shorter on the arms. But that level of speed means you should probably get drafted this year. We got the receivers coming up here in a minute, plus the losers. Before we get to the receivers list, I want you to name an NFL Combine winner from day one. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if you haven't already, head down there while the ad plays and let me know who your Combine winner from day one is. A lot of receivers we're going to talk about here because they're all fast. Now, the NFL has done a very poor job of showing the right times. They were wrong on the broadcast, then they had the official ones, and they changed them again like 8 hours later. Here are the 8 receivers who ran a sub-4.4 40-yard dash. Tyquan Thornton, not 4.21, but 4.28's flying. Velus Jones out of Tennessee, a 4.31. Calvin Austin at 4.32 from Memphis. Danny Gray, a 4.33 from SMU. Bo Melton, a 4.34 out of Rutgers. Christian Watson, how about that time? 4.36 from North Dakota State. And both Ohio State receivers, sub 4.4. After the update, after NFL Network failed on the hand times, they used the official ones, the laser ones. Garrett Wilson, actually beat out Chris Olave in that 40-yard dash. Both of these players, by the way, they're awesome. Depends on what you want. I think Wilson offers you more ability as a above-the-rim player, as a body control master, I have to call him. I had Wilson, by the way, above Chris Olave. He's a little bit smaller, both height and size, slightly faster, a bit more explosion. But both of those receivers, I think, are winners. I think Wilson and Olave, as the other big five grouping, 6 if you want to include Jahan Dotson, either didn't test the way they were hoping to or were unable to. I think, for me, Garrett Wilson is still my wide receiver one. But you can make a real argument for any, I'd say, of these top 5 guys. Type DL if you love Drake London, who was unable to run due to a foot injury. GW if you're like me, you got Garrett Wilson. TB for Treylon Burks, who we'll get to here in a little bit. CO for Chris Olave, or JW for Jameson Williams, who I think would have been the fastest guy if not for his unfortunate ACL injury. All right, some other combine winners at receiver. If you've been subscribed for a while, you know how I feel about Alec Pierce. He was one of my sleepers. We did this video way back in like January, and he tested pretty friggin' awesome. 6'3", 211, 33-inch arms, awesome vert, awesome broad, and a 4.41 40-yard dash. You want an outside vertical threat? This is one of your guys. I think Pierce should go in round 2. That's where I'm going to have him graded, but it's a deep receiver class, including guys like Christian Watson out of North Dakota State, who also tested off the charts good. You got to factor in the size. A big guy at Watson size, 208, 6'4", running a 4.36. That is nutty. Also awesome vert and broad. His production was limited because the NDSU offense didn't ask receivers to be involved, but he's a willing blocker. The Packers, for example, are going to love this kid. He's going to go, I think he should be a top 75 pick this year. Today's show is powered by BetUS. 125% deposit bonus at chatsports.com/bet. I placed my combine prop bets with them earlier in the week, and they've got QB1 bets as well. Is it going to be Kenny Pickett? Is it going to be Matt Corral? Is it going to be Malik Willis? There are options there. Plus 115. Kenny Pickett is the betting favorite. Malik Willis plus 125. It's probably going to be one of those two guys. Maybe you want to believe in Matt Corral, though. Plus 1,000. Put down $100. You will get a 125% deposit bonus at chatsports.com/bet when you use promo code NFL Daily. Let's go to Calvin Austin III out of Memphis. Now, Austin, objectively speaking, is a tiny human being. He's not that big, especially by NFL standards. He's small. He's 5'7" and change, 170. It's not big for an NFL player. You can tell where that ranks percentile-wise. It's near the bottom. But his arm length's pretty good, and he tested awesome. He needed to do that as a small player. There are some Tutu Atwell vibes, which Jeremy's going to love this. He's built like Jalen Darden, your guy from North Texas last year, but he's more athletic. He should go top 100. Maybe the biggest winner relative to expectations is Kevin Austin out of Notre Dame. Not highly hyped as one of the top tier receivers, but boy, he tested like one. 6'2" and change, 200 pounds, great vert, great broad, and as everybody else struggled in the 3-cone and the short shuttle drills, the agility being so late in the day at this point, the numbers of good production there have fallen off a cliff. Wasn't an issue for Kevin Austin. Almost 900 yards last year is a bit of a one-year wonder, but this is a nice guy to keep an eye for. I think goes round 3, maybe early day 3. Just an option there. I'm posting combine highlights all night long on my Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. If you want to see the fast 40-yard dashes, I got you guys covered. Hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Before we get to the losers, a neither winner nor a loser. Kenny Pickett. As everyone who closely pays attention expected, Kenny Pickett has small hands. Abnormally tiny hands. 8.5 inches. Relative to NFL QBs, that's Mike Vick's size. That's about the only other NFL starting QB at that level. And yes, size does begin to matter. Now, the good news is they were 8.25. He actually stretched him out an extra quarter inch with various stretching drills you're able to do, and he tested well as an athlete. We knew Kenny Pickett was going to have small hands. I'm not going to ding him for that. I already knew it. And he had fumbling issues a bit. That's a valid red flag. But he's still going to be one of the first QBs off the board because he's a good football player. Now, we here at Chat Sports did our own hand size measurements. There are apps you can easily use there. Producer Jeremy, 9 inches. Ya boy, 9 inches. Harrison, Brett, 9 inches. Tiny Hands Jack, 7.5. Very small hands, unfortunate for producer Jack here. Chase Sr., 10-inch hands, the biggest of anybody. So does hand size matter? You know what they say about people with big hands, right, Jeremy? Big gloves as well. Y for yes, N for no. Do these hand size measurements matter? The answer is yes. It's not a killer, but they do matter at least a little bit. Time now for losers. Deal with it. That's how life is. We're going to go QB Skylar Thompson. I was hoping he was going to test a lot better as an athlete. Was pretty middling in that area. I am concerned the injuries, which there have been a lot of them, have really added up for Skylar. Also, he's got tiny hands too. 8 5/8 inches. You want to be at least at 9. That's Jared Goff, Joe Burrow size. To come in sub 9 is also not great overall. I was hoping he could wow and become a late round pick. Not so sure on that one. It was a bit of a disappointment there for the Kansas State QB. All right, we got more losers coming up, but I want you to be a hater. It's okay to say people lost. That's how life is. Deal with it. Name an NFL Combine loser from day one. Drop a name in the comments right now. David Bell out of Purdue, next up here. Viewed as a likely second-round pick, and now going to make people go back and look at the film. That's the whole point of the Combine, right? You know what they should test at. If it's different, you got to go reevaluate. David Bell did not run well, folks, as all those receivers are out there flying. At 6 foot 212, good size, David Arm. David Bell didn't test well, guys. 4.65 40, bad agility, bad explosion. It's not good testing. I was disappointed by Bell, who I like. He's still going to be a top 100 pick. But as all those other receivers wowed, well, David Bell's kind of the loser on that front. Treylon Burks is next up here. Now, I want to preface this by saying he still should go in round 1. But the wide receiver 1 Treylon Burks train did take a bit of a hit. His measurements were not what we were promised. We were told, and Treylon Burks says, I wear 4XL gloves. Your hands are sub-size or are sub 10 inches. It's not 4XL. That's not indicative of that size of glove. Like, that's not abnormally large. We were told, hey, 6'3", 225. Well, he's only 6'2". Okay, you're off by an inch on that size there. But 4.48 was a good over-under for Burks, and he ended up running a 4.55. Factoring in the size, he's still an above-average athlete. But he had been hyped, and I expected a bit more of a freak athlete. I had some concerns of, okay, we know he's big and he's fast, long speed. Can he show a bit more explosion to indicate he can separate better? He didn't. So he's still going to be a top 32 player for me, but he wasn't the freak potential wide receiver 1 testing that I think people were hoping for. All right, tight end is next up here. Jalen Weidermeyer out of Texas A&M. And I'm going to call it Trey McBride too, because I want players to test unless you're hurt. If you're hurt, that's a totally different conversation. I'm unaware of any Jalen Weidermeyer injury. Trey McBride, you too. Go run your 40. He didn't do testing this week. And you know why I think he didn't do testing? He was scared. I don't think Weidermeyer is a fantastic athlete. I don't think he was going to test as one. So by skipping it, he doesn't silence my concerns or the same concerns I know other NFL teams have. He also had the weird comment about comparing himself to Aaron Hernandez. Just don't do it. I know play style, sure, but don't say that, dude. Be aware. That's just bad answer right there. The tight end 1 race in the end is very muddled, and no one emerged as the top tier athlete. Wasn't Greg Dulcich. Trey McBride and Weidermeyer skipped the testing. Cade Ott and Jeremy Ruckert are hurt right now. Jake Ferguson didn't test great either at Wisconsin. Pretty whelmed by this top tight end class, but if you want somebody, day 3 or late day 2, there are going to be plenty of guys. But I was underwhelmed by Weidermeyer this year after being hyped as a potential round 1 pick. I wish he had tested. I would have liked to have seen him compete. If you want more free Combine videos right here on Chat Sports, then subscribe. We'll be back again on Saturday morning. The running backs and offensive linemen doing their drills tonight. In the morning, we'll have that video, so make sure those notifications are set to all.